Every human being enters this world with a mind that has the ability to grow, learn, and transform. Intelligence is not only a gift given to a few people, it is a potential that exists inside every person. The difference between those who become wiser and those who remain the same is not talent, but daily growth. Many people believe that being smart means getting the highest grades in school or speaking with complex words. But real intelligence is much deeper. It is the ability to understand life, make better decisions, learn from mistakes, and adapt to change. A person may have a high level of education, but still make poor choices in life. Another person may have little formal education, yet show powerful wisdom through observation, experience, and thoughtful actions. This shows that intelligence is not limited to classrooms or books. It is built through awareness, curiosity, discipline, and learning from reality. The idea behind "become smarter every day" is simple but powerful. A small improvement in thinking each day can transform a person over time. Just like a drop of water, falling again and again can shape a rock. Small daily learning shapes. Every conversation teaches something. Every challenge reveals a lesson. Every mistake contains information. Every success shows a path. The world itself becomes a classroom for those who are willing to observe and learn. Unfortunately, many people stop learning after finishing school. They begin to believe that education is complete and that intelligence cannot grow anymore. This belief slowly weakens curiosity and limits personal growth. When curiosity disappears, the mind becomes passive and progress stops. But the truth is that the brain continues to grow when it is challenged. Scientists studying human learning discovered that the brain forms new connections when people learn new ideas, practice new skills, and think deeply about experiences. This means the mind is not fixed. It evolves through effort and exposure to new knowledge. Consider the life of a person who decides to improve 1% every day. At first, the changes may seem small. The person reads a few pages of a book, asks thoughtful questions, listens carefully during conversations, and reflects on daily experiences. After 1 month, the person becomes more aware. After 1 year, the difference becomes noticeable. After several years, that person develops powerful understanding and decision-making ability. This gradual transformation is the true secret of becoming smarter. The goal of this book is not to create pressure or unrealistic expectations. It is to inspire a mindset of continuous learning. Intelligence grows best when learning becomes a natural part of everyday life. A worker can learn from challenges at the workplace. A student can learn from difficult subjects. A parent can learn from raising children. An entrepreneur can learn from both profits and losses. In every field, life constantly provides lessons. The key is awareness. A person who moves through life without reflection misses valuable knowledge. But a person who observes events carefully begins to recognize patterns, connections, and deeper meanings. For example, imagine two friends facing the same problem. One reacts emotionally and complains about the situation. The other pauses, observes, and tries to understand what caused the problem. The second person gains insight, while the first only experiences frustration. This difference represents the beginning of smarter thinking. Becoming smarter also requires humility. A person who believes they already know everything stops exploring new ideas, but a humble learner understands that knowledge is endless. Every generation discovers new technologies, new perspectives, and new challenges. A flexible mind continues learning throughout life. Another important truth is that intelligence is not limited to academic subjects. Some people are excellent at understanding human emotions. Some are skilled in solving mechanical problems. Others are talented in communication, leadership, creativity, or strategy. These different forms of intelligence shape success in different areas of life. The purpose of becoming smarter every day is not to compete with others, but to strengthen your own ability to understand, think, and act wisely. When people improve their thinking, they also improve their decisions. When decisions improve, life becomes more stable, productive, and meaningful. Better thinking leads to better actions. Better actions lead to better outcomes. Throughout this journey, you will discover how habits, curiosity, reflection, discipline, and continuous learning shape intelligence. Each chapter explores practical ideas, real examples, and simple lessons from everyday life. These lessons show that becoming smarter is not a mysterious process. It is a series of small conscious steps repeated daily. The transformation may begin quietly, but over time, it creates a powerful change in perspective. A person who learns every day slowly develops sharper awareness, stronger reasoning, and deeper wisdom. This is the essence of becoming smarter every day. The journey begins with a simple choice. The choice to remain curious, observe the world carefully, learn from experiences, and grow continuously. Once this mindset becomes part of daily life, the mind begins to expand in ways that were once unimaginable. And that journey starts now. Chapter 1. The truth about becoming smarter. Every person wants to be smarter. Many people admire intelligent individuals and often wonder how they became so capable. Some believe intelligence is something people are born with, while others think it comes only through education. The truth is more realistic and more hopeful. Intelligence is not a fixed quality. It is something that can grow through daily experiences, learning, and reflection. Becoming smarter does not happen suddenly. It happens slowly through small improvements in thinking, understanding, and awareness. A person does not wake up one morning with a completely different mind. Instead, the mind develops little by little each day. To understand this idea, imagine a young boy named Hassan. Hassan was an average student in school. He was not the top student in his class, and sometimes he struggled to understand difficult lessons. His teachers believed that other students were naturally smarter than him. However, Hassan had one important habit. He was curious. Whenever he saw something he did not understand, he tried to learn about it. If he saw a machine, he asked how it worked. If he heard people discussing an issue, he listened carefully and tried to understand their opinions. One day, Hassan watched his uncle repair a broken fan. Instead of ignoring the activity, Hassan sat nearby and observed every step. His uncle noticed his interest and began explaining how electricity moved through wires and how the motor turned the blades. Hassan did not fully understand everything at that moment, but his curiosity planted a seed. Later, he searched for more information in books and asked his science teacher questions. Slowly, the pieces of knowledge began connecting inside his mind. Months later, when another fan stopped working in his house, Hassan tried to repair it himself. With patience and careful thinking, he solved the problem. This experience made him realize something powerful. Intelligence grows through curiosity, observation, and practice. Many people underestimate the importance of curiosity. They assume intelligent people simply know many things, but the real reason they know many things is that they constantly search for understanding. Curiosity pushes the mind to explore new ideas and ask meaningful questions. When a person asks why something happens, the brain begins analyzing patterns, causes, and possible answers. This process strengthens thinking ability. Another example can be seen in everyday work environments. Imagine two employees who start working at the same company on the same day. Both receive the same training and perform similar tasks. The first employee simply follows instructions every day. He completes tasks exactly as he was told, but rarely thinks about improving the process. The second employee also completes tasks, but he observes how the system works. He asks questions about why certain steps are necessary. He studies how experienced workers solve problems. After 1 year, the difference between the two employees becomes clear. The first employee remains at the same skill level, while the second employee becomes more capable and confident. The second employee became smarter because he actively tried to understand the environment. This example shows that intelligence often grows through attention and reflection rather than talent alone. Another important truth about becoming smarter is learning from mistakes. Many people fear mistakes because they believe mistakes make them look weak or incapable, but mistakes are powerful teachers. Consider the example of a young entrepreneur named Sarah. Sarah decided to start a small online clothing business. She invested her savings into purchasing clothes and created a website for selling them. During the first few months, her business struggled. Many customers visited the website, but very few purchased anything. Sarah initially felt discouraged. However, instead of giving up, she began studying the problem. She asked customers for feedback and carefully analyzed their responses. She discovered that the website was difficult to navigate and that customers wanted clearer pictures of the products. Sarah improved the design of her website, added better photos, and simplified the ordering process. Within a few months, sales increased significantly. Sarah did not succeed because she was perfect. She succeeded because she treated mistakes as learning opportunities. Each mistake revealed information that helped her improve. This mindset is essential for becoming smarter every day. People who avoid mistakes often avoid learning, but people who study their mistakes gain valuable knowledge. Another key factor in growing intelligence is daily learning. Learning does not always require formal education or long hours of study. Sometimes it happens through simple habits. Reading books, observing people, listening to different opinions, and thinking deeply about daily experiences all contribute to intellectual growth. Imagine a man who spends 15 minutes reading every day. At first, this habit seems small, but over time, the effect becomes powerful. If he reads 10 pages each day, he finishes a book every few weeks. After 1 year, he may complete more than 20 books. Each book introduces new ideas, perspectives, and knowledge. Slowly, his understanding of the world expands. This example demonstrates how consistency transforms the mind. Small daily actions accumulate into major improvements. Many people want quick results. They hope to become smarter quickly without patience. But real intellectual growth resembles planting a tree. At first, the seed is invisible beneath the soil. Gradually, roots develop, and a small plant appears. After years of care, the tree becomes strong and tall. Similarly, knowledge grows slowly, but becomes powerful over. A person who carefully observes the world notices patterns that others ignore. For example, imagine a taxi driver who has been driving in a busy city for many years. Through daily observation, he learns which streets become crowded during certain hours, which routes are faster, and how weather affects traffic. This knowledge allows him to make smarter decisions than someone who simply follows a map. His intelligence about the city developed through experience and attention. Observation also helps people understand human behavior. A teacher who observes students closely learns how different personalities respond to different teaching methods. A manager who observes employees carefully learns how to motivate them effectively. A parent who observes children patiently understands their emotional needs. These examples show that intelligence appears in many forms. It is not limited to academic knowledge. Another important aspect of becoming smarter is reflection. Reflection means thinking deeply about experiences and asking meaningful questions. After a difficult situation, a reflective person may ask, "What happened in this situation? Why did it happen? What could be done differently next time? What lesson can be learned from this experience?" These questions strengthen understanding. Without reflection, experiences pass quickly and lessons disappear. But reflection turns ordinary experiences into valuable knowledge. For instance, imagine two students who give a presentation in class. After the presentation, one student forgets about the experience immediately. The other student thinks carefully about what went well and what could be improved. During the next presentation, the second student performs better because reflection created learning. Over time, this habit builds confidence and intelligence. Another reality about becoming smarter is that environment influences thinking. People are influenced by the individuals they spend time with. If someone spends time with curious, thoughtful individuals, their conversations often involve ideas learning and personal growth. Such an environment encourages intellectual development. However, if someone spends most of their time in negative environments where people complain, constantly avoid responsibility, and reject learning, the mind may become stagnant. Choosing a positive environment, therefore, plays an important role in mental growth. For example, a young man named Emran wanted to improve his thinking ability. He noticed that many of his friends spent their time discussing gossip and entertainment. Imran decided to join a local reading group where people discussed books, history, and science. At first he felt uncomfortable because the conversations were challenging, but over time his thinking improved dramatically. The new environment stimulated curiosity and deeper understanding. This story shows that surrounding yourself with thoughtful people accelerates intellectual growth. Patience is another important quality in the journey of becoming smarter. Many individuals become discouraged when they do not see immediate results. They expect rapid transformation. However, the brain grows through repetition, practice, and consistent exposure to knowledge. A person learning a new language may struggle during the first months. Vocabulary feels unfamiliar, and grammar rules seem confusing. But daily practice slowly strengthens memory and comprehension. After 1 year, the learner can communicate with confidence. The improvement feels remarkable, yet it occurred through small daily efforts. This principle applies to every form of learning. Smart thinking develops gradually through consistent effort. Modern research about the brain supports this idea. Scientists discovered that the brain forms new connections between cells whenever people learn something new. These connections strengthen when knowledge is used repeatedly. This means that learning physically changes the brain. Every new skill, every new concept, every new insight contributes to building stronger mental networks. Therefore, becoming smarter is not only a philosophical idea, it is also a biological process. The brain grows stronger through mental exercise, just like muscles grow stronger through physical exercise. When people challenge their minds with reading, problem-solving discussions, and creative thinking, they strengthen their intellectual abilities. This understanding should inspire optimism. No matter where a person begins, improvement is always possible. Every day presents opportunities to learn, observe, reflect, and grow. The journey toward becoming smarter does not require extraordinary talent. It requires curiosity, patience, consistency, and an open mind. A person who embraces these habits gradually develops clearer thinking, better decision-making, and deeper understanding of the world. This is the truth about becoming smarter. It is not about sudden brilliance or rare genius. It is about the quiet, powerful transformation that happens when someone commits to learning from every day of life. And once that journey begins, the mind never stops expanding. Chapter 2. The Power of Daily Learning. One of the most powerful forces that shapes intelligence is daily learning. Many people think learning only happens in schools, colleges, or universities, but real learning continues throughout life. A person who chooses to learn something new every day slowly develops a stronger and more capable mind. Daily learning does not require complicated systems or expensive education. It begins with a simple mindset, the mindset that every day contains something valuable to understand. When a person wakes up in the morning, a new day begins with new situations, conversations, problems, and experiences. Each of these moments can teach something meaningful if the person pays attention. Unfortunately, many people move through life without noticing these opportunities. They repeat the same habits every day without thinking deeply about what they are doing. Over time, their thinking becomes automatic and growth slows down. But a person who intentionally learns every day begins to see the world differently. Consider the story of a young woman named Amina. Amina worked in a small office where her job involved organizing documents and helping customers. Most of her coworkers treated the job as routine work. They arrived in the morning, completed tasks, and waited for the day to end. Amina decided to approach her work differently. She believed every day could teach her something new. When customers visited the office, she carefully observed how they communicated their problems. She listened to the language they used and the emotions behind their words. She also watched how experienced employees handled difficult situations. She noticed that some employees solved problems quickly because they remained calm and asked clear questions. Amina started practicing the same approach. She learned how to listen carefully and how to explain solutions in a simple way. Outside the office, Amina spent time reading about communication skills and problem solving. She practiced what she learned during daily interactions with customers. Within a year, her manager noticed a major difference. Customers appreciated her help and trusted her advice. Eventually, Amina received a promotion because she demonstrated strong understanding and leadership. Her intelligence grew not because she was born with extraordinary talent, but because she chose to learn every day. This story shows the power of daily learning. Learning becomes powerful when it is consistent. Small pieces of knowledge gathered daily eventually create deep understanding. Imagine a man who wants to improve his knowledge of history. Instead of trying to memorize everything at once, he reads a few pages every day. At first, the information may seem small, but over time, those small lessons form a larger picture. After months, he understands how historical events are connected and how they influence them. This gradual learning strengthens his ability to think critically about society, politics, and culture. Daily learning also improves problem-solving ability. A person who constantly exposes the mind to new ideas develops flexibility in thinking. For example, imagine a mechanic who repairs vehicles. During the early years of his work, he may only know how to repair, but if he continues learning by studying new technologies, observing other mechanics, and experimenting with solutions, his knowledge expands. When a complicated engine problem appears, he can analyze it more effectively because his mind contains a larger library of experiences. Each new lesson adds another tool to his mental toolbox. Daily learning also increases confidence. Many people feel insecure when they face unfamiliar situations. This insecurity often comes from lack of knowledge. When a person regularly learns new things, the unknown becomes less frightening. For example, a young student who reads widely about science, technology, literature, and psychology develops broader understanding. When conversations involve these topics, the student can participate confidently because knowledge supports communication. Confidence grows naturally from understanding. Another important aspect of daily learning is curiosity. Curiosity is the fuel that keeps learning alive. A curious person constantly asks questions about the world. Why do certain events happen? How do systems work? What causes people to behave in certain ways? What can be improved in daily life? These questions activate the mind. For instance, imagine a boy named Farhan who enjoys observing nature. During walks, he notices different plants, birds, and insects. Instead of ignoring them, he asks questions about their behavior. Why do birds migrate during certain seasons? How do ants organize their colonies? Why do some plants grow better in certain environments? Farhan begins searching for answers in books and educational videos. Over time, he develops strong knowledge of biology and environmental science. His intelligence grew because curiosity guided his learning. Daily learning also shapes character. Knowledge does not only increase intellectual ability, it also influences how a person understands others and responds to challenges. For example, when people learn about psychology, they begin to understand human emotions and motivations. This knowledge helps them communicate with empathy and patience. Similarly, learning about history helps people appreciate different cultures and perspectives. Learning about economics helps individuals make wiser financial decisions. In this way, daily learning improves both intelligence and practical life skills. Another example can be seen in the life of an entrepreneur named Tariq. Tariq started a small restaurant in his neighborhood. During the early months, the business struggled because he lacked experience in management. Instead of becoming discouraged, Tariq decided to study the restaurant industry. Every evening after closing the restaurant, he read articles about customer service marketing and food quality. He also visited successful restaurants to observe how they organized their kitchens and interacted with customers. Gradually, he implemented new ideas in his own restaurant. He improved the menu, arranged the seating more comfortably, and trained staff to communicate politely with guests. Within 2 years, the restaurant became one of the most popular places in the area. Tariq became smarter in business because he learned something every day. Daily learning also trains the brain to remain active. Just like physical exercise strengthens the body, mental exercise strengthens the brain. Reading, analyzing information, solving puzzles, discussing ideas, and learning new skills stimulate neural connections inside the brain. Scientists discovered that these mental activities help maintain cognitive health even during older age. People who continue learning throughout life often maintain sharper memory and better reasoning abilities. This means daily learning is not only useful for career success, but also for long-term mental health. Another benefit of daily learning is adaptability. The modern world changes rapidly. New technologies, industries, and ideas appear constantly. A person who stops learning may struggle to adapt to these changes. However, a person who maintains the habit of daily learning can adjust more easily because the mind is accustomed to absorbing new information. For example, many professionals needed to learn digital skills when technology transformed workplaces. Those who already had learning habits adapted quickly, while others found the transition more difficult. Learning habits, therefore, create resilience in a changing world. Developing the habit of daily learning does not require large amounts of time. It begins with simple actions. Reading a few pages of a book, listening to educational discussions, observing skilled individuals, asking thoughtful questions, reflecting on daily experiences. These small actions accumulate over time. Imagine learning one new concept every day. In 1 year, that becomes 365 concepts. Some of these ideas may connect with others, forming deeper understanding. The mind gradually becomes more organized and insightful. Another powerful method of daily learning is teaching others. When a person explains an idea to someone else, the brain processes the information more deeply. Teachers often say they learn while teaching because explaining concepts requires clear understanding. For example, a student who helps classmates understand mathematics strengthens his own knowledge because he must organize the information logically. Teaching, therefore, transforms knowledge into mastery. Reflection is also a key part of daily learning. At the end of each day, a thoughtful person may ask, "What did I learn today? What situation taught me something important? How can I apply this lesson tomorrow?" These questions reinforce learning. Without reflection, many lessons disappear from memory, but reflection captures the value of experiences. Daily learning, therefore, becomes a cycle. Observation leads to curiosity. Curiosity leads to learning. Learning leads to reflection. Reflection leads to deeper understanding. This cycle strengthens the mind continuously. Becoming smarter every day does not require extraordinary intelligence. It requires the willingness to learn from ordinary moments. A conversation with a colleague can teach communication skills. A mistake can teach improvement. A book can introduce a new perspective. A challenge can reveal hidden strengths. Every day contains lessons waiting to be discovered. Those who develop the habit of daily learning unlock the full potential of their minds. Their understanding deepens, their confidence grows, and their ability to solve problems improves. Over time, this quiet habit transforms an ordinary mind into a powerful source of knowledge and wisdom. This is the true power of daily learning. Chapter 3. Training your brain to think clearly. Becoming smarter every day does not only depend on learning new information, it also depends on how clearly a person thinks. Many people collect knowledge, but still struggle to make good decisions because their thinking is confused or rushed. Clear thinking is one of the most valuable abilities a person can develop. When the mind becomes clear, problems become easier to understand, solutions appear more quickly, and decisions become more accurate. Training the brain to think clearly is similar to training the body for strength. At first, the process requires effort, but with practice, the mind becomes stronger, more focused, and more organized. The first step in clear thinking is slowing down the mind. In modern life, many people are surrounded by constant noise, information, and distractions. Mobile phones, social media, television, and endless conversations fill the mind with scattered thoughts. When the brain receives too much information, without reflection, thinking becomes messy. Imagine a student named Bilal who tries to study while constantly checking his phone, watching videos, and responding to messages. His attention moves in many directions, and his mind struggles to concentrate. Even though he spends several hours studying, he remembers very little because his brain never had time to process the information properly. Now imagine another student named Saad. When Saad studies, he removes distractions. He reads carefully, thinks about the meaning of what he reads, and pauses to understand difficult ideas. He may study for fewer hours, but his understanding becomes deeper because his mind remains focused. This example shows how focus improves clarity of thought. Clear thinking requires attention. When attention is divided, understanding becomes weak. Another important skill for clear thinking is asking the right questions. Many people accept information without examining it carefully, but intelligent thinkers develop the habit of questioning. When they hear a statement, they ask, "Is this information reliable? What evidence supports this idea? Are there other possible explanations? What are the consequences of this situation?" These questions activate critical thinking. For example, imagine a worker who hears a rumor that his company may close soon. Some employees panic immediately and spread the rumor further. But a thoughtful worker pauses and asks questions. Where did this information come from? Has management confirmed it? Are there other signs that support this claim? By asking questions, he avoids unnecessary fear and gains a clearer understanding of the situation. Critical questioning protects the mind from confusion and misinformation. Another method for training the brain to think clearly is organizing thoughts. When ideas remain scattered, the mind struggles to analyze them. Successful thinkers often organize information step by step. Consider the example of a young engineer named Nadia. Nadia was asked to solve a complex problem in a manufacturing system. The machines were producing defective products, and the company was losing money. Instead of rushing toward a quick solution, Nadia organized the problem. First, she studied the entire process from the beginning to the end. Then she listed all possible causes for the defect. After that, she tested each possibility one by one. Through this organized approach, she discovered that a small temperature change during production was causing the defects. Because her thinking was structured, she solved the problem efficiently. Organization allows the brain to handle complicated situations without becoming overwhelmed. Clear thinking also improves when people separate emotions from analysis. Emotions are a natural part of human life, but strong emotions can sometimes cloud judgment. For instance, imagine a manager who receives criticism from an employee. If the manager reacts immediately with anger, the conversation may become hostile, and the real issue remains unresolved. However, if the manager pauses and analyzes the criticism calmly, he may discover useful feedback that helps improve the workplace. This does not mean ignoring emotions, but it means giving the mind time to analyze situations logically before reacting. Another important habit for clear thinking is reflection. Reflection means reviewing experiences and extracting lessons from them. For example, after completing a project, a reflective person may ask, "What worked well in this project? What difficulties appeared? How could the process be improved next time?" By thinking about these questions, the person turns experience into knowledge. A good example of reflection can be seen in the life of a young athlete named Hamza. Hamza loved playing football and practiced regularly with his team. During matches, he sometimes made mistakes that caused his team to lose important opportunities. Instead of ignoring these mistakes, Hamza began reviewing each match carefully. He thought about his decisions on the field and identified moments where he could have chosen better strategies. During practice, he worked on improving those specific areas. Over time, his decision-making during matches became faster and more accurate. His improvement came from reflection, not just repetition. Another powerful way to train the brain for clear thinking is reading deeply. Reading exposes the mind to different perspectives, ideas, and arguments. When a person reads carefully, the brain learns to follow logical sequences and understand complex concepts. However, reading quickly without thinking provides little benefit. Deep reading means pausing to consider the meaning of the text, imagining examples, and connecting ideas with real-life situations. For instance, a university student named Sana studied psychology. She did not simply memorize definitions for exams. Instead, she tried to connect psychological theories with real human behavior. When she read about motivation, she observed how motivation influenced students, athletes, and workers in everyday life. This approach allowed her to truly understand the subject rather than just remember information temporarily. Clear thinking also improves when people practice explaining ideas. When someone explains a concept to another person, the brain must organize thoughts logically. If the explanation is confusing, it reveals that the idea is not fully understood. Teachers often say that teaching others is one of the best ways to strengthen knowledge. For example, a college student named Ahmed often helped his classmates understand difficult mathematical concepts. While explaining problems, he sometimes discovered gaps in his own understanding. This pushed him to study more deeply until he could explain the topic clearly. Through teaching others, his own thinking became sharper and more structured. Another method for strengthening clear thinking is solving problems regularly. Problems challenge the brain to analyze situations, explore possibilities, and choose effective solutions. These problems do not need to be extremely complex. Everyday situations can also train the mind. For example, a shop owner may analyze why sales decreased during certain weeks. A student may analyze why a particular subject feels difficult. A traveler may analyze how to plan the fastest route through a crowded city. Each time the brain analyzes a situation, it becomes better at recognizing patterns and identifying solutions. Clear thinking also requires patience. Many people rush to conclusions because they want immediate answers, but complex situations often require time and careful analysis. A doctor diagnosing a patient does not immediately choose the first possible illness. Instead, the doctor examines symptoms, asks questions, studies medical history, and performs tests. This patient careful thinking increases the chances of correct diagnosis. Similarly, in everyday life, thoughtful people avoid jumping to quick conclusions. They gather information, consider multiple perspectives, and then make decisions. Another powerful tool for clear thinking is writing. Writing forces the mind to organize ideas in a logical order. When thoughts are written down, they become easier to examine and refine. For example, a young entrepreneur named Kareem kept a journal about his business experiences. Each evening he wrote about the challenges he faced and the decisions he made. While writing, he often noticed patterns in customer. These insights helped him improve his strategies. Writing turned his daily experiences into structured knowledge. Healthy habits also influence mental clarity. The brain depends on physical health to function effectively. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, and regular physical activity support cognitive performance. When people are constantly tired or stressed, their thinking becomes slower and less accurate. For instance, a student who studies all night without sleep may struggle to remember information during an exam. But a well-rested mind processes information more efficiently. Maintaining physical health, therefore, contributes to clearer thinking. Another essential element is curiosity. Curious individuals enjoy exploring ideas from different angles. When they encounter new information, they examine it rather than ignoring it. This curiosity keeps the mind flexible and open to learning. Flexibility allows people to adjust their thinking when new evidence appears. Rigid thinking, on the other hand, limits intellectual growth. Training the brain to think clearly requires continuous practice. Focus, questioning, organization, reflection, deep reading, teaching, problem-solving, patience, writing, and healthy habits all contribute to mental clarity. At first, these habits may feel challenging, but over time, they become natural. A clear mind sees connections that others miss. It identifies solutions faster and makes wiser decisions. This ability becomes one of the most powerful advantages in personal life, professional work, and intellectual growth. When a person learns to think clearly, the path toward becoming smarter every day becomes stronger and more effective. The mind transforms into a tool capable of understanding complexity, solving problems, and creating meaningful progress in life. Chapter 4. The role of curiosity in intelligence. Curiosity is one of the strongest forces behind human intelligence. It is the inner desire to understand, explore, and discover new ideas. Without curiosity, the mind becomes passive, but with curiosity, the mind becomes active, creative, and constantly growing. From childhood, curiosity appears naturally. A child asks many questions about the world. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Why do people work? Why do plants grow? These questions may seem simple, but they represent the beginning of intellectual development. Each question pushes the brain to search for answers. When the brain searches for answers, it forms new connections and understanding grows. Unfortunately, many people lose their curiosity as they grow older. Responsibilities, routines, and social pressure sometimes discourage questioning. People begin to accept things without thinking deeply about them. But individuals who keep their curiosity alive continue developing their intelligence throughout life. Consider the story of a young boy named Umar. Umar lived in a small town where most children spent their free time playing games and watching television. Umar also enjoyed playing, but he had a habit that made him different. He asked questions about everything around him. When he saw construction workers building a house, he wondered how the walls remained strong. When he visited a farm, he asked how seeds turned into plants. When he saw birds flying in the sky, he wanted to know how wings created lift. Sometimes adults around him did not know the answers, but Umar did not stop asking. He searched for explanations in books, spoke with teachers, and observed situations carefully. Years later, Umar developed strong interest in engineering. His curiosity about how things worked guided him. His intelligence grew because curiosity continuously pushed him to explore. Curiosity acts like fuel for the brain. Just as fire grows stronger with fuel, intelligence grows stronger with curiosity. A curious mind refuses to remain satisfied with simple explanations. It looks deeper into problems, ideas, and systems. For example, imagine a young mechanic named Javed. Most mechanics repair cars by following familiar methods. When an engine problem appears, they replace the part that usually fails and continue working. But Javed had a curious mind. When he repaired a car, he wanted to understand exactly why the problem occurred. He studied the engine design, examined each component, and tried to understand how different parts interacted. Sometimes this process required more time, but it gave him deeper knowledge of automobile systems. Eventually, Javed became known as a specialist who could solve unusual mechanical problems that other mechanics could not fix. His success came from curiosity, not only from experience. Curiosity also encouraged creativity. Creative ideas often appear when people explore possibilities beyond ordinary thinking. A famous example can be seen in the life of the inventor Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo observed nature with extraordinary curiosity. He studied the flight of birds, the movement of water, the structure of the human body, and the patterns of plants. His curiosity led him to design flying machines, study anatomy, and create remarkable works of art. He combined knowledge from different fields because his curiosity had no limits. In everyday life, curiosity can also lead to simple but valuable discoveries. Imagine a young woman named Hina who works in a bakery. Her daily task is to prepare bread dough and bake it in large ovens. One day she begins wondering why certain breads taste softer than others. She experiments by slightly adjusting the ingredients and baking temperature. After many attempts, she discovers a combination that produces a lighter texture and richer flavor. Customers begin preferring her bread, and the bakery becomes more popular. Hina did not invent something complex, but her curiosity improved her craft and created success. Curiosity also helps people understand others better. Human behavior is complex, and sometimes confusing. People react differently to situations based on emotions, experiences, and beliefs. A curious person tries to understand these differences rather than judging them quickly. For instance, imagine a teacher named Farah who notices that one of her students often appears distracted during class. Instead of assuming the student is lazy, she becomes curious about the reason. She speaks with the student and learns that he struggles with difficulties at home that affect his concentration. Understanding the situation allows Farah to support the student more effectively. Her curiosity transforms judgment into empathy and problem solving. Another important role of curiosity is expanding knowledge beyond familiar areas. Many individuals limit themselves to subjects they already understand. They avoid unfamiliar topics because they feel uncomfortable. But curiosity encourages exploration of. For example, a businessman named Salman became curious about technology, even though his career was in traditional retail. He began reading about digital marketing, online payment systems, and e-commerce platforms. At first, the information seemed complicated, but his curiosity motivated him to keep learning. Eventually, he integrated online sales into his business, which significantly increased revenue. His curiosity opened opportunities that would otherwise remain hidden. Curiosity also strengthens memory and learning ability. When people are genuinely interested in a topic, their brain processes information more actively. A student who studies a subject only to pass an exam may forget the information quickly, but a student who studies because of curiosity remembers details for a longer time. This happens because curiosity activates deeper engagement with the material. For example, a student named Adil became fascinated with astronomy after seeing a documentary about the universe. He began reading books about stars, planets, and galaxies. He watched lectures and observed the night sky with a telescope. Because his interest was genuine, he remembered complex concepts easily. Curiosity turned learning into an exciting journey rather than a forced task. Another example can be seen in the workplace. A young employee named Noman joined a technology company where most workers focused only on their assigned tasks. No man, however, became curious about how different departments worked together. He spent time learning about programming, marketing, product design, and customer support. This broader understanding allowed him to communicate effectively with different teams. After some time, his managers recognized his ability to connect ideas from multiple areas and promoted him to a leadership position. Curiosity helped him develop a wider perspective. One challenge people face is fear of asking questions. Some individuals worry that asking questions may make them appear ignorant. But intelligent people understand that questions are tools for learning. In reality, the person who asks thoughtful questions often gains more knowledge than the person who remains silent. For example, during a training session in a company, many employees may listen quietly without asking questions. However, one employee who asks clear questions about the process may gain deeper understanding and perform tasks more efficiently later. Curiosity, therefore, requires courage. It requires the willingness to admit that there is more to learn. Curiosity can also be developed intentionally. People can strengthen curiosity by observing daily life more carefully. Instead of moving through routines automatically, they can ask simple questions about their surroundings. Why do certain businesses succeed while others fail? How do experienced leaders manage difficult situations? What habits make some individuals more productive than others? How do cultural traditions influence behavior? These questions transform ordinary observations into learning experiences. Another method for developing curiosity is exploring diverse sources of knowledge. Reading books, listening to lectures, speaking with experts, and traveling to new places expose the mind to unfamiliar ideas. Each new experience stimulates curiosity and encourages deeper thinking. Curiosity also benefits from patience. Sometimes answers do not appear immediately. Complex problems require time, research, and experimentation. But the process of searching for answers strengthens intellectual ability. For example, scientists often spend years studying a single question before reaching a discovery. Their curiosity keeps them motivated even when progress feels slow. Curiosity, therefore, represents a powerful engine of human progress. It drives scientific discoveries, technological innovation, artistic creativity, and personal development. Without curiosity, societies would remain stagnant because people would never question existing knowledge. For individuals, curiosity provides endless opportunities for growth. Every question opens a door to new understanding. Every observation reveals hidden patterns. Every exploration expands the boundaries of knowledge. A person who protects and nurtures curiosity keeps the mind alive and active. Such a person never stops learning, never stops exploring, and never stops becoming smarter. Curiosity transforms the world into a vast classroom where every moment offers a chance to discover something meaningful. And for those who choose to remain curious, the journey of intelligence continues every single day. Chapter 5. Learning from Failure. Failure is one of the most powerful teachers in life, yet many people fear it more than anything else. Society often celebrates success and hides the long path of mistakes that usually leads to achievement. Because of this, many individuals believe failure means weakness or lack of intelligence. In reality, failure often plays a major role in developing wisdom, skill, and strong thinking. People who become smarter every day learn to treat failure not as the end of a journey, but as a source of valuable information. Failure reveals what does not work It exposes weak strategies, incorrect assumptions, and missing knowledge. When a person studies these lessons carefully, failure becomes a guide toward improvement. Consider the story of a young student named Haris. Haris worked hard during his first year at university, but when the final examination results were announced, he discovered that he had failed an important subject. He felt embarrassed and disappointed because many of his classmates had passed. At first, Haris believed he was simply not intelligent enough for the subject, but after several days of reflection, he decided to analyze what happened. He reviewed his study habits and realized that he had spent most of his time memorizing information without truly understanding the concepts. He also noticed that he often delayed studying until the last days before exams. Instead of giving up, Haris changed his approach. During the next semester, he attended lectures more attentively, asked questions when he did not understand something, and practiced solving problems regularly. When the next examination arrived, he performed much better and passed the subject successfully. The failure he experienced earlier became the lesson that improved his. This example shows that failure can reveal weaknesses that success might hide. Another example can be seen in the world of business. A young entrepreneur named Danish opened a small cafe in a busy part of the city. He believed the location alone would guarantee success. However, after several months, his cafe attracted very few customers. Danish initially blamed the economy and competition, but later he decided to investigate the real reasons for his struggle. He spoke with people who visited the cafe and listened to their feedback. Some customers said the seating area was uncomfortable, while others felt the menu lacked variety. Danish also visited successful cafes and observed how they designed their environment and interacted with customers. Using these insights, he redesigned his cafe, added new items to the menu, and improved customer service. Within a year, his business began attracting regular customers. Danish eventually realized that the early failure of his cafe forced him to learn valuable lessons about business management. Failure provided the information needed to improve. Many famous inventors and innovators also experienced repeated failures before achieving success. One of the most well-known examples is the inventor Thomas Edison. During his efforts to develop the electric light bulb, he conducted thousands of experiments. Many attempts failed to produce a reliable result. Instead of becoming discouraged, Edison viewed each unsuccessful experiment as a step toward discovery. He believed that every failed attempt showed him another method that did not work. Eventually, after persistent experimentation, he succeeded in creating a practical electric light bulb. His success was built upon lessons gathered from numerous failures. In everyday life, failure also helps people develop emotional strength. When individuals face challenges and overcome disappointment, they build resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks and continue moving forward. For instance, imagine a young athlete named Kareem, who trains for a national running competition. Kareem practices every day with discipline and dedication. During the competition, however, he finishes far behind the top runners. The defeat feels painful because he had hoped to win. Instead of quitting, Kareem reviews the race carefully. He analyzes his training methods and notices that his endurance decreases during the final part of long races. With the help of his coach, he adjusts his training to focus more on endurance. The following year, Kareem competes again and performs much better. The earlier loss taught him how to improve his physical preparation. Failure also improves creativity. When the first solution to a problem does not work, people are forced to search for alternative ideas. This process often leads to creative thinking. Imagine a young designer named Lila, who is working on a project to create environmentally friendly packaging. Her first design fails because the material is too weak to protect the product. Instead of abandoning the idea, she experiments with different materials, shapes, and structures. After several attempts, she develops a design that is both strong and biodegradable. The initial failure pushed her to explore creative solutions that eventually led to success. Another important lesson from failure is humility. Success sometimes creates overconfidence. When people succeed repeatedly, they may begin believing they cannot make mistakes. Failure reminds individuals that improvement is always possible and that learning never stops. For example, a talented chess player named Fahad won many matches in local competitions. Because of his success, he became confident in his strategies. However, during a regional tournament, he faced a stronger opponent who defeated him quickly. This experience shocked Fahad, but also motivated him to study advanced strategies, analyze his weaknesses, and practice more seriously. The defeat humbled him and strengthened his dedication to improvement. Soon his skills reached an even higher level. Failure, therefore, protects people from complacency and encourages continuous growth. However, learning from failure requires the right mindset. Some individuals experience failure and immediately blame external circumstances. They blame bad luck, other people, or unfair conditions. While external factors sometimes play a role, blaming everything outside prevents learning. People who grow from failure take responsibility for analyzing their actions. They ask themselves meaningful questions. What assumptions did I make? What skills do I need to improve? What will I do differently next time? These questions transform failure into a learning opportunity. Another challenge people face is fear of embarrassment. In many social environments, individuals worry about how others will judge their mistakes. This fear sometimes prevents them from trying new ideas. However, innovation and progress often require experimentation and risk. For example, scientists conducting research expect that many experiments will fail before discovering useful results. If they avoided experimentation because of fear progress would stop, the same principle applies to personal growth. Trying new skills, learning new subjects, and starting new projects always carry the possibility of mistakes. But these experiences also create valuable learning. Failure also teaches patience. Major achievements rarely occur quickly. People who expect immediate success often become discouraged when they face obstacles. Understanding that failure is part of the learning process encourages patience and persistence. Consider the example of a writer named Samina, who dreamed of publishing her first novel. She spent many months writing the manuscript and sent it to several publishers. Unfortunately, each publisher rejected her work. Samina initially felt disappointed, but she carefully studied the feedback provided by editors. They suggested improvements in character development and storytelling structure. Instead of abandoning her dream, she revised the manuscript and improved the narrative. After further revisions, she submitted the novel again and finally received a publishing offer. Her success emerged from persistence and willingness to learn from rejection. Failure also helps individuals develop realistic expectations. When people experience setbacks, they gain clearer understanding of challenges involved in achieving goals. This realism helps them prepare better strategies for future attempts. For instance, a young engineer named Asif attempted to design a complex mechanical device during his first year of work. His initial design failed during testing. Instead of feeling defeated, Asif learned how difficult engineering projects require careful planning, collaboration, and repeated testing. With this new understanding, he approached future projects more strategically. Eventually, his designs became more reliable and successful. Learning from failure also strengthens problem-solving ability. Each time a person analyzes a mistake, the brain practices identifying patterns, causes, and solutions. Over time, this habit improves analytical thinking. The person becomes better prepared to handle future challenges because previous failures provided valuable lessons. Failure, therefore, becomes a training ground for intelligence. People who embrace failure as a teacher develop resilience, creativity, humility, patience, and strong problem-solving skills. These qualities contribute to long-term success in many areas of life. The path to becoming smarter every day does not avoid mistakes. Instead, it uses mistakes as stepping stones toward deeper understanding. Each failure contains hidden lessons waiting to be discovered. Those who are willing to study these lessons carefully transform setbacks into opportunities for growth. In this way, failure becomes not a barrier, but a powerful guide toward wisdom, improvement, and stronger intelligence. Chapter 6. Smart habits that transform your mind. Becoming smarter every day does not depend only on intelligence or education. It depends strongly on habits. Habits are the actions people repeat regularly. These repeated actions slowly shape the way the brain works. A person who develops smart habits gradually builds a stronger and more organized mind. On the other hand, a person who lives without productive habits may struggle to grow even if they have great potential. Habits operate quietly in daily life. They may seem small and ordinary, but over time, they create powerful changes in thinking, behavior, and success. To understand the importance of habits, imagine two young men named Zain and Farid. Both completed their studies and started working in the same company. They had similar skills and received the same opportunities. However, their daily habits were different. Zain had the habit of reading every evening, even if it was only for a short time. He also kept a notebook where he wrote ideas, observations, and lessons from his daily experiences. Farid spent most of his free time watching entertainment programs and rarely thought about learning new skills. At first, their careers progressed at the same speed, but after several years, a clear difference appeared. Zain developed deeper knowledge, stronger communication skills, and better problem-solving ability. His managers trusted him with more responsibilities. Farid remained in the same position because his skills did not grow significantly. The difference between them was not intelligence, but habits. Smart habits slowly transform the mind by strengthening knowledge, awareness, and discipline. One of the most powerful habits for intellectual growth is the habit of reading. Books contain knowledge, experiences, and ideas gathered over many years. When a person reads regularly, they gain access to information that might otherwise take decades. For example, a young woman named Huda developed the habit of reading biographies of successful people. She read about scientists, leaders, entrepreneurs, and artists. Through these stories, she discovered how successful individuals faced challenges, made decisions, and solved problems. This knowledge influenced her own thinking and helped her avoid many common mistakes. Reading expands perspective and introduces new ways of thinking. Another valuable habit is writing. Writing organizes thoughts and strengthens understanding. When people write about their ideas, experiences, or plans, they force their minds to structure information clearly. For example, a college student named Imad kept a daily journal in the evening. He wrote about what he learned during the day, what challenges he faced, and how he planned to improve. This habit helped him recognize patterns in his behavior and identify areas where he needed growth. Writing transformed his experiences into clear lessons. Another powerful habit is observing people and situations carefully. Observation sharpens awareness and helps individuals understand how the world operates. Consider the example of a young salesman named Arif. Arif worked in a busy marketplace where many experienced sellers attracted large numbers of customers. Instead of simply performing his own sales routine, Arif carefully watched how successful sellers communicated with customers. He noticed how they greeted visitors, listened to their needs, and explained products clearly. Arif practiced these techniques in his own work. Over time, his sales improved significantly. Observation allowed him to learn practical skills without formal training. Another habit that transforms the mind is asking thoughtful questions. Curiosity grows stronger when people regularly ask questions about what they see, hear, and experience. For instance, a student named Sana developed the habit of asking questions whenever she did not understand a concept. She politely asked the teacher for clarification. At first, she felt nervous about speaking in class, but she soon realized that asking questions helped her understand subjects more deeply. Her classmates also benefited from the explanations that followed. Asking questions turned passive listening into active learning. Time management is another important habit that influences intelligence. People who manage their time effectively create space for learning, reflection, and personal development. Imagine two professionals working at a technology company. One spends the entire day reacting to emails, meetings, and distractions without planning how time will be used. The other organizes the day, carefully setting aside time for focused work, learning, and planning. The second professional gradually develops stronger skills because time is used intentionally. Good time management creates opportunities for growth. Another smart habit is practicing reflection. Reflection means thinking about experiences and extracting lessons from them. For example, after completing a project, a thoughtful person may ask what worked well, what difficulties appeared, and how the process could be improved next time. This reflection transforms everyday experiences into knowledge. A young teacher named Nadia used this habit after each class. She reviewed her lessons and considered which teaching methods helped students understand best. Through this reflection, her teaching skills improved continuously. Reflection strengthens learning because it connects experiences with understanding. Healthy lifestyle habits also influence mental performance. The brain requires proper care to function effectively. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, and regular physical activity support cognitive health. For example, a university student named Hamid noticed that he struggled to concentrate during lectures because he slept very late each night. After adjusting his routine to ensure sufficient rest, he discovered that his memory, focus, and comprehension improved greatly. Physical health supports mental clarity. Another powerful habit is continuous skill development. The modern world changes quickly, and new skills appear constantly. People who regularly update their knowledge remain adaptable and confident. A graphic designer named Bilal followed this habit carefully. Every few months he learned new software tools and design techniques. As technology evolved, his skills remained relevant and valuable. Clients appreciated his ability to use modern design methods. Continuous skill development protected his career from becoming outdated. Another habit that strengthens intelligence is surrounding oneself with thoughtful people. Conversations with curious and knowledgeable individuals stimulate new ideas. For instance, a young entrepreneur named Rashid joined a local business discussion group where entrepreneurs shared experiences, challenges, and strategies. Listening to different perspectives expanded his understanding of business management. These discussions inspired him to experiment with new ideas in his own company. Social environments strongly influence thinking patterns. Another important habit is practicing patience. Many individuals want immediate results, but meaningful improvement often requires time. Consider a musician named Aisha, who wanted to master the piano. When she began practicing, the instrument felt difficult, and progress seemed slow. However, she maintained a consistent practice routine every day. After months of dedication, her fingers moved more naturally across the keys, and her music became more expressive. Her patience transformed effort into skill. Patience allows habits to produce long-term results. Another smart habit is limiting distractions. In modern life, distractions constantly compete for attention. Social media notifications, endless entertainment, and frequent interruptions fragment concentration. A young researcher named Kamran struggled to complete important work because he often switched between tasks and digital distractions. After recognizing the problem, he created specific periods of focused work where he disconnected from unnecessary interruptions. This habit improved the quality and speed of his thinking. Focus strengthens intellectual performance. Learning from others is another valuable habit. Successful individuals often study mentors, teachers, and experienced professionals to gain insights. For example, a medical student named Sarah spent time observing skilled doctors during hospital rounds. She noticed how they asked questions, diagnosed patients, and communicated with families. These observations provided practical knowledge that textbooks alone could not offer. Learning from experienced individuals accelerates growth. Consistency remains the most important factor in building smart habits. Occasional effort rarely produces lasting change, but consistent practice gradually reshapes the mind. A person who reads only once a month may gain limited knowledge, but a person who reads every day steadily builds understanding. A person who reflects occasionally may learn some lessons, but a person who reflects regularly develops deep awareness. Small actions repeated daily create powerful transformations. Smart habits, therefore, represent the foundation of intellectual growth. They influence how people learn, how they think, and how they respond to challenges. Reading, writing, observing, asking questions, managing time, reflecting, maintaining health, developing skills, seeking meaningful conversations, practicing patience, focusing attention, and learning from mentors all contribute to building a stronger mind. These habits may appear simple, but when practiced consistently, they reshape the brain and expand understanding. The transformation may begin quietly, but over time, these habits turn ordinary thinking into intelligent decision-making, creativity, and wisdom. This is the true power of smart habits. They guide individuals toward continuous growth and make the journey of becoming smarter every day both possible and rewarding. Chapter 7. Observing the world like a thinker. Observation is one of the most powerful tools for developing intelligence. Many people move through life quickly focusing only on their routines without paying attention to the deeper details around them. However, individuals who learn to observe carefully gain knowledge that others often miss. Observation means more than simply seeing things. It means noticing patterns, understanding relationships, and asking why events happen the way they do. A person who observes the world like a thinker transforms ordinary experiences into valuable lessons. From childhood, humans learn through observation. A child watches parents speak and slowly learns language. A young student watches teachers solve problems and begins understanding methods and reasoning. This natural process continues throughout life for those who remain attentive. To understand the importance of observation, imagine a young man named Talha. Talha worked in a busy restaurant as a waiter. Every day he served customers, delivered food, and cleaned tables. At first, he treated the job as simple routine work. However, one day he began paying closer attention to the restaurant. He noticed that certain waiters received larger tips from customers. He wondered why this happened. Instead of ignoring the question, Talha carefully observed how those waiters interacted with guests. He saw that they greeted customers warmly, remembered returning visitors' names, and recommended dishes confidently. Talha also noticed that they listened carefully when customers described their preferences. Talha started practicing the same behaviors. During the following weeks, his relationship with customers improved, and he also began receiving better tips. Through observation, he learned skills that were never formally taught. Observation often reveals hidden knowledge that cannot easily be found in books. Another example can be seen in the life of a farmer named Bashir. Bashir worked in agriculture for many years, but instead of repeating the same methods, he studied his fields carefully. He noticed how rainfall patterns influenced soil moisture. He observed which areas of his land produced stronger crops and which areas struggled. Over time, he discovered that certain parts of the field required different planting schedules and irrigation levels. By adjusting his methods based on observation, his harvest improved significantly. Bashir did not rely only on traditional instructions. He learned directly from the environment around him. Observation also helps people understand human behavior. For example, imagine a young manager named Adil who supervises a team of employees. At first, he focuses only on tasks, deadlines, and productivity reports. However, he soon realizes that workplace performance is also influenced by human emotions, motivation, and communication. Adil begins observing how employees respond during meetings, which individuals collaborate effectively, and which situations create stress. He notices that some employees perform better when they receive encouragement, while others prefer clear instructions and independence. Using these insights, he adjusts his leadership style to support each person more effectively. The team becomes more productive because Adil understands the human dynamics of the workplace. Observation, therefore, strengthens leadership and communication. In education, observation can also transform learning. Consider a science student named Miriam who studies biology. Instead of memorizing information only from textbooks, she spends time observing plants, insects, and animals in natural environments. She watches how ants organize their colonies, how birds build nests, and how plants respond to sunlight. These observations help her understand biological principles more deeply than memorization alone. Her curiosity and attention turn nature into a living classroom. Observation also improves problem-solving ability. Many complex problems reveal their solutions through careful examination. Imagine a mechanic named Farhan who repairs motorcycles. When a customer brings a motorcycle with unusual engine noise, other mechanics might quickly replace common parts without investigating further. Farhan, however, listens carefully to the sound of the engine and studies how the motorcycle behaves during acceleration. By observing these details, he identifies the real cause of the problem, which may be a loose component or a small imbalance in the system. Because he observes carefully, he avoids unnecessary repairs and solves problems efficiently. Observation also encourages creativity. Artists, designers, and inventors often discover ideas by observing the world around them. For instance, a young architect named Samina enjoys studying buildings, streets, and public spaces in different cities. She observes how people move through these environments, where they gather, and which designs create comfort or inconvenience. These observations inspire her architectural designs. Her buildings become more practical and beautiful because they reflect real human behavior. Observation, therefore, connects imagination with reality. Another powerful benefit of observation is recognizing patterns. Patterns appear everywhere in nature, society, and human behavior. When individuals learn to notice these patterns, they gain deeper understanding. For example, a businessman named Kareem operates a small retail shop. Through observation, he notices that certain products sell quickly during specific seasons, while others become popular only during festivals. By recognizing these patterns, he plans inventory more effectively. This simple observation increases profit and reduces wasted stock. Similarly, in financial markets, experienced investors observe patterns in economic activity, consumer behavior, and industry trends. These observations guide their investment decisions. Observation also helps individuals understand cultural differences. When people travel or interact with individuals from different backgrounds, they may encounter unfamiliar customs, behaviors, and traditions. A curious observer studies these differences with respect and interest. For instance, a traveler named Zoya visits several countries during her career. Instead of focusing only on tourist attractions, she observes how local communities communicate, celebrate, and solve daily problems. These observations broaden her understanding of human culture and increase her ability to interact with people from diverse backgrounds. Observation also plays an important role in scientific discovery. Many scientific breakthroughs began with simple observations. For example, the famous scientist Isaac Newton became curious after observing an apple fall from a tree. This observation inspired questions about gravity and motion that later led to important scientific theories. Similarly, medical researchers often begin their investigations by observing unusual symptoms or patterns in patient health. Observation becomes the starting point for deeper research and discovery. In everyday life, observation can also improve decision-making. Imagine a young professional named Hassan who wants to choose the right career path. Instead of relying only on advice from others, he observes different professions closely. He watches how engineers solve technical problems, how teachers interact with students, and how entrepreneurs manage businesses. Through these observations, he gains realistic understanding of various careers and chooses a path that matches his interests and strengths. Observation, therefore, supports wise decisions. However, effective observation requires patience and attention. In a world full of distractions, many people rush through experiences without noticing important details. To observe like a thinker, individuals must slow down and focus on what is happening around them. This may involve listening carefully during conversations, studying environments quietly, or reflecting on events after they occur. Writing observations in a notebook can also strengthen this habit. A young journalist named Rafiq practiced this technique regularly. Whenever he visited a new place, he recorded details about people, conversations, surroundings, and emotions. These observations helped him write vivid stories and accurate reports. His attention to detail distinguished his work from others. Another important aspect of observation is maintaining an open mind. People sometimes observe situations through the lens of their own assumptions, which can lead to misunderstanding. A thoughtful observer tries to see situations objectively before forming conclusions. For instance, a teacher observing student behavior should consider different possible explanations rather than assuming laziness or lack of interest. Open-minded observation encourages fair judgment. Observation also encourages gratitude and appreciation. When individuals pay attention to the beauty and complexity of the world, they begin noticing things that often go unnoticed. The colors of nature, the creativity of human design, the effort behind everyday work, all become visible through attentive observation. This awareness creates deeper appreciation for life. Observation, therefore, becomes not only a tool for intelligence, but also a source of wisdom. By observing carefully, people learn how systems work, how individuals behave, and how patterns shape outcomes. Every street, workplace, conversation, and experience becomes an opportunity for learning. A person who observes the world like a thinker transforms ordinary moments into powerful lessons. This habit strengthens understanding, creativity, problem-solving, and decision-making. Over time, the observer develops a sharp mind capable of recognizing connections that others overlook. And through this continuous awareness, the journey of becoming smarter every day becomes richer, deeper, and more meaningful. Chapter 8. Discipline and Mental Strength. Many people believe intelligence alone leads to success and wisdom, but intelligence without discipline often produces little progress. Discipline is the ability to control actions, remain focused on goals, and continue working even when motivation becomes weak. Mental strength grows from discipline. A disciplined mind does not depend only on emotions or temporary inspiration. It follows clear decisions and continues moving forward even during difficulty. Becoming smarter every day, therefore, requires not only curiosity and learning, but also the strength to maintain consistent effort. To understand the power of discipline, imagine a young student named Salman. Salman dreamed of becoming a doctor. His goal required years of study, patience, and dedication. At the beginning, he felt excited about learning biology, chemistry, and medicine. However, after several months, the routine became difficult. Long hours of study, complex subjects, and challenging exams created pressure. Some of his friends decided to relax more often and reduce their study time. They believed they could prepare for exams quickly at the last moment. Salman chose a different approach. He created a disciplined schedule for studying. Each day he reviewed his lessons, practiced solving problems, and prepared for future topics. There were days when he felt tired or distracted, but he reminded himself of his goal. After several years, his discipline paid off. Salman successfully completed his medical education and began helping patients. His achievement was not based only on intelligence. It was built through discipline and mental strength. Discipline allows individuals to transform goals into reality. Another example can be seen in the life of a young athlete named Nabil. Nabil wanted to become a professional swimmer. He admired successful athletes and dreamed of competing in national tournaments. However, success in sports requires intense training. Physical endurance, technical skill, and mental focus develop only through regular practice. Every morning before sunrise, Nabil woke up to train in the swimming pool. While others slept, he practiced strokes, breathing techniques, and endurance exercises. There were moments when he felt exhausted or discouraged, but discipline kept him moving forward. After years of consistent training, Nabil improved his speed and technique. Eventually, he qualified for major competitions. His progress came from daily discipline rather than occasional effort. Discipline also strengthens the mind against distractions. Modern life presents endless distractions. Digital devices, entertainment, and constant communication compete for attention. Without discipline, many people lose focus and struggle to complete important tasks. Consider the example of a young programmer named Faraz. Faraz worked on complex software projects that required deep concentration. At first, he often became distracted by social media messages and online videos. As a result, his work slowed down and mistakes appeared in his programs. Realizing the problem, Faraz decided to develop discipline in his work routine. He created specific periods of focused work where he turned off unnecessary notifications and concentrated fully on programming. Gradually, his productivity improved and his software solutions became more reliable. Discipline allowed his mind to maintain clarity and focus. Another important benefit of discipline is emotional stability. Life contains many challenges and unexpected events. People without mental discipline may react impulsively to stress, frustration, or criticism. However, disciplined individuals learn to manage their emotions and respond thoughtfully. Imagine a business leader named Amina, who manages a growing company. During a difficult economic period, her business faces financial pressure and declining sales. Employees become worried and uncertainty spreads throughout the organization. Instead of reacting with panic, Amina remains calm. She analyzes the situation, carefully communicates openly with her team, and develops strategies to overcome the crisis. Her discipline in controlling emotions helps the company survive the challenge. Mental strength, therefore, supports wise leadership. Discipline also builds confidence. When individuals repeatedly keep promises they make to themselves, their self-belief grows. For example, a writer named Kamran decides to write a book. He sets a goal to write several pages each day. At first, the process feels slow, but he continues following his routine. After several months, the manuscript grows into a complete story. Each day of disciplined writing strengthens his confidence that he can accomplish difficult goals. Confidence emerges from consistent action. Discipline also teaches patience. Large achievements rarely happen quickly. Whether learning a new language, mastering a musical instrument, or building a successful business, progress requires time. Without discipline, people often abandon their efforts before reaching meaningful results. A young musician named Hiba dreamed of playing the violin beautifully. When she first began practicing, the instrument sounded harsh, and her fingers struggled to move smoothly. Some students around her gave up because improvement seemed slow. Hiba continued practicing daily with discipline. Slowly, her technique improved, and the music became more graceful. After several years, she performed confidently in public concerts. Her discipline transformed early frustration into artistic skill. Another example of discipline can be found in the world of science. A researcher named Dr. Khaled spent many years studying environmental pollution. His work involved collecting data, performing experiments, and analyzing complex results. Scientific research often progresses slowly, and sometimes experiments fail to produce expected outcomes. However, Dr. Khaled remained disciplined in his investigation. Through persistence and careful study, he eventually discovered patterns in pollution sources that helped authorities develop better environmental protection policies. His disciplined research contributed valuable knowledge to society. Discipline also strengthens character. People who practice discipline develop reliability, honesty, and responsibility. For instance, a young employee named Tariq always arrived at work on time, completed assignments carefully, and fulfilled commitments he made to colleagues. Over time, his managers trusted him with important projects because they knew he could be relied upon. Trust grows when discipline guides behavior. Discipline also protects individuals from harmful habits. Many problems in life arise from uncontrolled behaviors, such as excessive spending, unhealthy eating, or procrastination. Mental discipline allows people to recognize these patterns and replace them with healthier choices. For example, a university student named Zoya noticed that she often delayed studying until the last moment, which created stress during exams. She decided to develop discipline by studying small portions of material each day instead of waiting until the final days. This change reduced stress and improved her understanding of the subjects. Discipline, therefore, supports both academic success and emotional well-being. Another powerful aspect of discipline is consistency. Consistency means repeating useful actions regularly, even when immediate rewards are not visible. A person who reads 10 pages of a book every day may not feel dramatic improvement immediately, but after several months, that person has gained knowledge from many books. A person who practices a skill daily gradually builds expertise. Consistency transforms small efforts into large achievements. Discipline also encourages responsibility for personal growth. Instead of blaming circumstances, disciplined individuals focus on what they can control. If they lack knowledge, they study. If they lack skill, they practice. If they face obstacles, they search for solutions. This mindset empowers individuals to shape their own progress. Mental discipline does not mean living without enjoyment or flexibility. It means balancing freedom with responsibility. A disciplined person understands when to relax and when to focus on important tasks. This balance creates stability and productivity. Developing discipline requires conscious effort in the beginning. People may start with small commitments, such as waking up at a regular time, reading daily, or practicing a skill for a specific period. As these habits become routine, discipline grows naturally. Each completed commitment strengthens the ability to maintain future commitments. Over time, discipline becomes part of character rather than a temporary effort. The journey toward becoming smarter every day becomes much stronger when discipline supports learning, curiosity, and observation. Without discipline, knowledge may remain unused and goals may remain unfinished. But when discipline guides daily actions, the mind becomes organized, resilient, and capable of achieving meaningful progress. Discipline and mental strength, therefore, form the foundation of lasting intelligence. They allow individuals to transform dreams into achievements and challenges into opportunities for growth. Through discipline, the mind gains the power to continue learning, improving, and advancing every single day. Chapter 9. The role of reflection in growth. Reflection is one of the most underrated habits in the journey of becoming smarter every day. It involves pausing to think deeply about experiences, analyzing actions, and extracting lessons from both success and failure. Many people move through life reacting to events without examining them closely. As a result, They repeat mistakes, miss opportunities, and fail to grow. True growth occurs when experiences are transformed into understanding. Reflection allows the mind to process information, recognize patterns, and identify improvements without waiting for external feedback. Consider the story of a young professional named Ion. Ion worked in a marketing firm where deadlines were tight and competition was strong. At first, he completed tasks mechanically, focusing only on completing projects quickly rather than considering the quality or strategy behind them. After a few months, Ion noticed that his career growth was slower than his peers. He realized that while he was busy doing tasks, he was not learning from them. He decided to practice reflection each evening. After completing a project, he asked himself, "What strategies worked well? What mistakes did I make? How could I improve next time?" He also considered feedback from colleagues and clients and thought carefully about the reasoning behind successes and failures. Over time, Ion's insights helped him improve his strategies, plan better campaigns, and communicate more effectively with his team. Reflection turned ordinary work into a learning opportunity, accelerating his professional growth. Reflection also deepens self-awareness. Many people react to situations automatically, without understanding their own behavior patterns or emotional triggers. Reflective individuals analyze how they think, feel, and act. They discover strengths to build on and weaknesses to improve. For example, a student named Sana noticed she often procrastinated before exams. She began reflecting on why this happened and realized it was caused by fear of failure. By acknowledging this, she developed strategies to start studying earlier, break tasks into smaller steps, and reward herself for consistent effort. Her awareness allowed her to take control of habits that previously hindered her growth. Reflection also enhances decision-making skills. When people take the time to review past decisions, they learn which choices produced positive outcomes and which led to problems. This analysis strengthens the ability to predict consequences, evaluate options, and make wiser choices in the future. Imagine a young entrepreneur named Danish who launched a small online business. After the first year, some strategies succeeded while others failed. He spent time reflecting on the data, customer behavior, marketing techniques, and logistics. By carefully reviewing the results, he discovered patterns that guided better business decisions, from pricing strategies to promotional campaigns. Reflection helped him turn trial and error into a systematic learning process. Another critical aspect of reflection is learning from failure. Failure often carries valuable information, but many people ignore it due to disappointment or frustration. Reflective individuals examine what went wrong, why it happened, and what they can do differently next time. A young athlete named Hamza frequently lost matches early in his training period. At first, he became frustrated, but he began reviewing his performance after every game. He analyzed his techniques, focus, and preparation. Through consistent reflection, he identified weaknesses in endurance and strategy. He adjusted training routines accordingly, eventually improving his performance significantly. Reflection also encouraged gratitude and positive perspective. When people review experiences thoughtfully, they notice lessons, growth, and progress they might otherwise overlook. Even challenges and failures reveal resilience, learning, and opportunities. For example, a teacher named Amina reflected on her year with students. She noted difficulties, behavioral challenges, and teaching mistakes, but also recognized moments of success, student improvement, and her own development as an educator. This reflective habit kept her motivated and strengthened her confidence. Reflection can be practiced in multiple ways. Journaling allows individuals to write down thoughts, analyze decisions, and record lessons learned. Mindful meditation enables deep thinking about daily actions and choices. Conversations with mentors or peers also provide opportunities to reflect by discussing experiences, gaining different perspectives, and receiving feedback. A combination of these methods enhances insight and understanding. Another benefit of reflection is recognizing patterns in behavior, thought, and external events. When individuals reflect consistently, they start noticing recurring challenges, effective strategies, and opportunities for innovation. For instance, a software developer named Rita noticed recurring bugs in her projects. She reflected on coding practices, testing methods, and project planning. Through observation and reflection, she identified patterns that allowed her to prevent similar mistakes in future projects. Reflection strengthens problem-solving ability. By analyzing past challenges, reflective individuals develop mental frameworks for approaching new problems efficiently. They can anticipate potential difficulties and apply proven strategies rather than starting from scratch. Reflection also cultivates patience and long-term thinking. In a world that often rewards immediate results, taking time to analyze experiences helps individuals develop deeper insight and avoid hasty decisions. A business owner named Farah reflected daily on operational and financial decisions. She noticed which marketing campaigns brought steady results and which provided only temporary gains. This long-term perspective helped her plan sustainable growth. Finally, reflection supports personal and professional alignment. When people consistently examine their actions and goals, they gain clarity about their values, priorities, and direction in life. For example, a young professional named Cameron reflected on career decisions every month. He compared his current activities with long-term goals, evaluated the alignment, and made adjustments to stay on the right path. Through reflection, he maintained clarity, purpose, and focused progress. In essence, reflection is a bridge between experience and wisdom. It transforms routine actions into meaningful learning opportunities, strengthens self-awareness, improves decision-making, develops resilience, cultivates patience, and encourages gratitude. Those who practice reflection regularly train their minds to extract maximum value from every moment, every challenge, and every success. Reflection turns ordinary life into a continuous classroom and allows the journey of becoming smarter every day to be intentional, purposeful, and deeply effective. Chapter 10. The importance of consistency. Consistency is one of the most powerful forces behind becoming smarter every day. Without consistency, even the best knowledge, habits, and intentions may fail to produce meaningful growth. Many people start with enthusiasm, but after a short period, they give up or slow down. They wonder why progress is slow, but often fail to recognize that the missing element is steady effort. Consistency is the repeated practice of useful actions over time. It is the bridge between learning and mastery. It turns small daily efforts into significant long-term results. Consider the story of a young musician named Aisha. Aisha dreamed of playing the piano beautifully, but at first her fingers struggled to reach the keys, and her timing was uneven. She practiced sporadically for a few hours at random intervals. Her progress was slow and frustrating. One day she decided to create a disciplined routine. She dedicated 30 minutes every morning and 30 minutes every evening to focused practice. She maintained this schedule every day without skipping. Over several months, her technique improved dramatically. Her hands became more flexible, and her timing precise. She began playing complex pieces smoothly. Her consistent effort transformed her from a beginner into a skilled pianist. Consistency also strengthens learning. When a student studies a subject regularly every day, even in small amounts, the brain gradually absorbs and retains knowledge more effectively than in long but infrequent sessions. Regular review reinforces understanding and helps connect ideas over time. A student named Omar wanted to improve his mathematics skills. He dedicated only 15 minutes daily to practice, instead of cramming for hours the night before exams. At first it seemed too little, but after months his ability to solve problems improved significantly, and he understood concepts more deeply. Consistency is also vital for building habits. New habits require repetition to become automatic. When people practice consistently, the brain forms neural pathways that make actions easier over time. Irregular effort often prevents habits from taking root. For example, a young professional named Sarah wanted to improve her writing skills. She wrote a few lines sporadically, but found it difficult to complete coherent essays. Her mentor advised writing every day at the same time, even if only a short piece. After several weeks, writing became natural and flowing. Her vocabulary expanded, ideas connected more smoothly, and her confidence increased. Consistency develops resilience. Life is full of distractions, challenges, and setbacks. Without steady effort, many people abandon goals when obstacles appear. A young entrepreneur named Bilal started an online store. His initial months were challenging, and sales were slow. Many times he felt discouraged, but he continued consistently updating his website, communicating with customers, and learning new marketing techniques. Over time, his customer base grew steadily and his revenue increased. His resilience and eventual success were powered by consistency. Consistency also multiplies the effects of other smart habits. Reading every day, observing carefully, reflecting, practicing skills, and exercising discipline all produce stronger results when done consistently. For instance, a language learner named Hina combined reading, writing, listening, and speaking daily. Even 30 minutes of practice every day eventually led to fluency because she never skipped practice. Consistency transforms small daily actions into long-term mastery. Another important aspect of consistency is accountability. Tracking progress regularly encourages individuals to maintain consistent effort. When people see that they are falling behind their goals, they adjust their routines to stay on track. A young athlete named Nabil recorded his daily running distance, diet, and training exercises. This record helped him maintain consistency, evaluate progress, and identify areas for improvement. Consistency also builds confidence. When people notice the results of regular effort, they gain belief in their ability to achieve goals. For example, a student preparing for competitive exams felt overwhelmed by the syllabus. Initially, she doubted whether her daily 1-hour study would be enough. Over months, consistent daily effort accumulated into comprehensive knowledge. She gained confidence as she realized that small steps added up to big results. Consistency combats procrastination. Many people delay important tasks because they wait for perfect conditions or motivation. Sporadic effort often leads to anxiety and unfinished projects. Consistent routines remove reliance on fluctuating motivation. A professional named Kamran created a fixed schedule for coding practice and project work. He followed it daily, regardless of mood or energy level. Over time, coding became second nature and complex projects felt manageable. Consistency strengthens mental endurance. Repeated practice teaches the mind to persist in the face of challenges. Concentration improves, problem solving becomes faster, and the ability to focus for longer periods increases. For example, a chess player named Ali trained consistently for several hours every day. By the end of the year, he noticed that he could analyze complex positions more quickly and think multiple moves ahead. Consistency also encourages cumulative growth. Knowledge and skills build on each other over time. When effort is repeated regularly, the brain connects new information with prior understanding, creating a network of deep learning. A researcher named Sana read one scientific article daily and summarized it in her notebook. After a year, she had accumulated hundreds of insights across multiple fields, allowing her to generate new ideas by connecting concepts. In contrast, inconsistent learning would have produced fragmented understanding and limited insight. Finally, consistency strengthens character. People who follow through with commitments develop discipline, responsibility, and self-respect. The reliability to act steadily builds integrity and reputation. For example, a volunteer named Hira contributed a few hours every week to a community project without fail. Over time, her consistent effort created real impact and inspired others to join. In conclusion, consistency is the backbone of intelligence, skill, and personal growth. It amplifies learning, reinforces habits, builds resilience, strengthens confidence, and fosters long-term achievement. Small daily actions repeated over months and years transform ordinary individuals into experts and thinkers. Becoming smarter every day requires commitment not only to learning and curiosity, but also to consistent practice in all areas of personal and professional life. Consistency turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results and ensures that the journey of growth continues steadily without interruption. Conclusion. Becoming smarter every day. The journey of becoming smarter every day is not about sudden genius or extraordinary talent. It is about consistent effort, curiosity, disciplined action, and thoughtful reflection. Intelligence grows gradually when the mind is trained to observe, learn, analyze, and adapt. Every chapter of this journey contributes to building a stronger, sharper, and wiser mind. Curiosity fuels exploration. It pushes individuals to ask questions, seek answers, and look beyond the obvious. Through curiosity, the world becomes a classroom, and every experience an opportunity to discover something new. Clear thinking organizes the mind to analyze problems critically and make informed decisions. Observing the world carefully allows people to recognize patterns, understand relationships, and extract lessons that others often miss. Reflection transforms experiences into wisdom. It teaches lessons from both success and failure, strengthens self-awareness, and guides future choices. Discipline and mental strength provide the power to continue learning even when challenges arise. Motivation fluctuates, distractions appear, and setbacks occur, but a disciplined mind persists and transforms effort into results. Consistency turns small daily actions into long-term mastery. Habits repeated over time shape the brain, reinforce learning, and build resilience. The smallest positive actions performed daily compound into profound intelligence and personal growth. Failure is not the enemy of growth, but one of its strongest teachers. By analyzing mistakes, learning from them, and adjusting strategies, Individuals develop humility, creativity, and problem-solving ability. Finally, smart habits such as reading, writing, observing, reflecting, practicing skills, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle gradually strengthen the mind and expand understanding. They create a structure for continuous improvement. Becoming smarter every day is a holistic process. It combines knowledge, curiosity, reflection, discipline, consistency, and practical action. It is a journey that never truly ends because the world is constantly evolving and new lessons are always available. Anyone can embark on this journey. The path may be challenging, but every step taken with intention adds to mental growth. Every question asked, every habit formed, every reflection made, and every failure faced builds a stronger, more capable mind. It is a living quality nurtured through daily choices and persistent effort. The people who grow smarter each day are those who embrace learning, remain curious, practice discipline, reflect deeply, and act consistently. By applying the lessons of observation, reflection, curiosity, discipline, consistency, and thoughtful action, every individual has the power to become wiser, more capable, and more resilient. The journey of becoming smarter every day is not measured only by achievements or knowledge accumulated, but by the continuous expansion of understanding, awareness, and mental strength. It is a lifelong adventure in which every day presents an opportunity to learn, improve, and grow. The more consistently a person engages with this process, the stronger their mind becomes, the wiser their decisions, and the greater their impact on the world. Every day is a chance to become smarter. Every day is a chance to think deeper, learn more, and live more intentionally. Every day is a step toward the best version of yourself. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.